Hello again. When I first started coaching, I used to set quite varied training sessions because I thought the athletes that I was working with might get bored, and I wanted to show that perhaps I was thinking about things and varying things. And as time's moved on, I've drifted towards setting quite similar and quite simple training sessions, and I do that for 2 or 3 weeks at a time. And the reason I do that is because structured training is really just some sort of systematic, step-by-step progression of fitness, or at least it's hopefully a progression of fitness. And in that process, you work on specific things to try and target weaknesses, or perhaps sometimes to target people's strengths, so that you can strengthen those areas of fitness. And to do that, you have to understand what's going on, and you have to understand the effects of the training that you're setting. So if you vary things all the time, it's very hard to pinpoint what's actually doing what. And what I do to work out what priorities to set is I do a power duration profile. Or if people are training to build endurance, then I look at their endurance fitness, their endurance capacity, how long can they ride for. Once I've got this profile, like the longest ride might be one datum, and then the 5-second power, the 1-minute power, 5-minute power, 20-minute power, and perhaps even the 1-hour power. I can then see where we want to shift that power duration curve. For instance, if I'm working with somebody who's going to do road races, it might be their sort of 5-minute power that might be important, because they need to be able to attack and stay in a break or something like that. Whereas if it's an ultra endurance cyclist, initially would be looking to build up their endurance, and once they could ride according to their ride schedule. If you look at my previous videos, you know that I like people to ride to a duration schedule and train for that. I think that's the best way to go. Then anyway, once they can do with durations, then we're starting to improve their speed, and I usually do that by developing their FTP. Once we know what we're going to work on, then we can set training sessions to work on those things. So what I do is I choose 2 interval training sessions per week. I might do, if I was trying to raise FTP, I might do something around what people call a VO2 max session, so you're working out around your VO2 max. And a threshold session, so you might do your 5x5 with a minute recovery, or your 3 or 4x8s with 2 minutes recovery, and your VO2 max session might be 6x3 minutes with 3-minute recoveries. And obviously you do that at power commensurate with the tests that you've done, with the power duration profile that you've got. Your 3-minute efforts would be around about your 5 or 6 minute best powers, and your 8-minute efforts would be around your sort of 30 to 60 minute best powers, or maybe a little bit lower. Because I think it's better to be a little bit conservative and make sure that somebody can complete a session, rather than leave them in a big hole and maybe taking days to recover and then not being able to train hard for a few days, which means it's counterproductive. Getting fitter isn't about one big hit and then a long recovery. It's about several hits, being consistent and gradually stepping that fitness up. And then once we've done this period of 2 or 3 weeks of a similar sort of training, we can do a retest. Probably wouldn't test every 3 weeks, but we might do like a short test, or some sort of like a 5-minute test if we're looking at developing that 5-minute power. And then we might do something very similar for the next 3 or 4 weeks. So you probably have 6 to 8 week blocks of doing things that are very similar. And then you do a more detailed retest, see what the priorities are again, and then move forward like that. Now, obviously, it's not that simple, because things are quite complicated. There are lots of other factors coming in. You might get ill. I mean, particularly recently, some people might get COVID. A lot of the athletes I've coached with have ended up having COVID, and that's really messed things about, because recovering from a serious illness like that can be quite tricky, because you don't know how long it's going to take. You might have family problems. Your kids might get ill. Work might get particularly stressful, so you have to miss certain sessions. You might have to travel with work. But in principle, that's how I work, and that's how I've found to be the most effective. So I hope you found that useful and interesting. Please comment, let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.